It seems you feel our work is not a benefit to the public.
It's too bad she won't live. But then again, who does?
Hi everybody, how's it going? Drew Hagen back with you to talk about Blade Runner today. Amazing film, I think, from 1982, directed by Ridley Scott, starring Harrison Ford. To me, Blade Runner is the birth of Neo Noir. To this point, in 1982, there's no film like Blade Runner. No film like Blade Runner has been made prior to 1982. It's something new. It takes the mise en scène of film noir and it combines it with this really rich sci-fi that was really kind of burgeoning in the early 80s thanks to Star Wars in 77. It turns the film industry on its head. People don't know what to do with this movie. You know, if you go back to all of the structure that we touched on with the Maltese Falcon, that classic noir established, right? That package that is mise en scène for noir. In other words, the visuals, the lighting, that stark lighting. There's a couple of scenes. I'll talk to you after the movie too, so I don't give anything away. There's a couple of shots in the film that are just a total calling card for film noir. The smoke, the light, the chiaroscuro lighting, right? The characters are all there. Detective, crime. There's some new elements, right, obviously. With this futuristic setting and story from Philip K. Dick's Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. It's also important to acknowledge that birth of Neo Noir, a new kind of noir, right? Neo meaning new. It's important to acknowledge that with this film because up till this point, filmmakers wanted to acknowledge and adapt what classical film noir was in that aesthetic and its visuals, right? But they wanted to make it something different and go in a different direction and sort of mature with the themes from left over from classical noir. And up till this point, that's what they've been doing. And a lot of experimenting, almost sort of disguising a lot of classical film noir themes and story structures and characters. But then Blade Runner comes along and it's like, hey, we love film noir, we embrace it, and we think that those themes and characters are more relevant now than ever before. So of course we're going to bring it into a contemporary, through our contemporary eyes, right? But we actually want to sort of pay tribute in a meaningful way to a serious genre of film. So Blade Runner is just that, and look for all the hallmarks there of classic film noir, that classic film noir established, and then, and just being a great film, I think, in general as well. Very entertaining, and the special effects are fantastic. Ridley Scott's a great director, in my opinion. I think you'll really enjoy it. Let's talk again after the film.
Kind of nervous when I take tests.
I've got 4 skin jobs walking the streets.
They're either a benefit or a hazard. If they're a benefit, it's not my problem. Not my problem.
I'm Rachel.
Deckard.
Have you ever retired a human by mistake?
No.
I need the old Blade Runner. This is a bad one.
How can it not know what it is?
If only you could see what I've seen.
More human than human is our motto.
What if I go north? Disappear? Would you come after me?
No, you won't. But somebody would.
Too bad she won't live.
I can see you.
Time to die.
Will you help us?
What seems to be the problem?
Death.
I want more life.
An experiment. Nothing more.
More human than human is our motto.
It seems you feel our work is not a benefit to the public.
It's too bad she won't live. But then again, who does?
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Drew Hagen to talk to you about Blade Runner. What did you think? Again, context for all of this stuff. When you're watching films today, it's easy to take for granted all that's come before, but there's so many films that wouldn't exist. The styles and camera work and the settings, especially the settings with this film, they're so rich that they've been copied many times before. You've seen them in other films, right? These worlds. In fact, Blade Runner was so successful ultimately that a sequel was made, Blade Runner 2049, with Ryan Gosling and again Harrison Ford, which I really enjoyed that film as well. I really like the director of that film. But we're here to talk about Blade Runner 1982. Did you catch all of the references? I've seen the film many times now, and I'm still seeing new things. But that ambience, that lighting, the characters, it's all there, all established from classic film noir and reimagined to our time in a really fantastic way. Harrison Ford plays essentially this everyman detective, a very Sam Spade-esque character, right? A very he's not a detective, but he is, right? He retires the replicants. And the film speaks on many different levels, but staying close to the tracks that we're running on with film noir, the most important thing, I think, to take away in the connection between Blade Runner, the birth of Neo Noir, and its connections to classical film noir, right? 1941 Maltese Falcon to 1959, is the philosophy. I think one of the most important things is the philosophy that's coursing through the veins of this film. That philosophy of fatalism, of cynicism, right? Really, the message of the film is human beings have created these replicants that we've enslaved, and we treat them terrible. And which is really talking about the basic essence of human nature and those philosophies that took root with classical film noir. That the world is a mess, right? These are very kind of downtrodden, downer philosophies, right? And Blade Runner certainly has them in spades. I'm going to go all out on the spoilers here. There's a ton of discussion, and there has been since the film came out, about Harrison Ford being a replicant himself, right? And the final cut, as what you've watched is called, that certainly implies that Harrison Ford is a replicant, and Rachel, his love interest in the film, obviously is well established to be a replicant. And it's also suggested that the detective, played by Edward James Olmos, is also a replicant, and hence the unicorn origami that he leaves as sort of the calling card that he knows, right, about Deckard, about Harrison Ford's character and Rachel, and it leaves it when the elevator door closes at the very end. It's not a very upbeat ending, which is pure noir, and that's super important. All these characters are oppressed in an oppressive environment, right, and struggling to sort of stay alive. It's a very bleak story and world that these characters live in, and yet there's this good Harrison Ford being the underdog, really sort of is we like to think that he's going to succeed, that he's going to win, that he's gotten the girl, he's going to live happily ever after. We can hope, right? It's important to note there are 3 major cuts of this film. There's the theatrical cut, then there was a director's cut, and then there is what is now known as the final cut, which is what you've just watched. And the theatrical cut was something that was made, or should I say supervised, sort of overlorded by the studio over Ridley Scott's direction. They wanted a happy ending, and it's really a different film in the sense that it has a happy ending. There's a shot where at the end of the theatrical cut where Harrison Ford and Rachel are flying away in his car over the mountains out of the darkness of the city to a happy ever after ending, right? And that was there because the studio didn't understand the film. A lot of people didn't understand the film. It wasn't a box office success at the time either. I think that's also important to know. And it's also a clue that this is something really new. This Neo Noir coming onto the scene, and nobody really knew how to react to it. The director's cut, it was the studio trying to make amends for this mess because it was very well publicized that Ridley Scott wasn't happy with the cut that existed. So they said, hey, we're going to do a director's cut. So they hired this other guy who did consult Ridley, but didn't really bring him into the fold. And they played around with those different plot devices and story styles. One of the things they had in both theatrical cut, and I believe there was some in the director's cut, was narration by Harrison Ford's character, which, by the way, is a very common filmmaking choice in film noir, going back to classic noir.
New climate, recreational facility. They don't advertise for killers in a newspaper. That was my profession. Ex-cop, ex-Blade Runner, ex-killer.
But through production of the film, Ridley Scott changed his mind. He decided he didn't want that. So it took until 2007 for everything to be ironed out and for Ridley Scott to actually get his hands back on the film and legally be able to make changes to it and see the cut that you watched today. And I think, this is his official cut. He's disavowed the other cuts. There is a Blu-ray out there that has all 3 cuts. It's really great if you're a purist about this stuff. But it really, he clearly by now, and sort of a retrospect, looking back at the film, says, hey, I really have this neo-noir piece of film, and I'm going to cut it to fully explore that, those perimeters. And he does, and you can see it. If you watch the other 2 cuts, it's almost a lesson in filmmaking about how those things can totally change the outcome and the structure of what you're watching. It's really interesting. The city is very oppressive. It's constantly raining, right? And the authority figures are sort of raining down above the city, holding the people sort of captive in a way, certainly oppressing them almost in this 1984-ish kind of authoritarian way, right? You know, after this idea that, hey, we can make films that really embrace in an exciting new way these old film noir structures, tropes, it really takes off. America loves film noir for sure, and the world does too now. But Neo Noir is a very exciting era for film noir. It's certainly far from dead. The Coen brothers have single-handedly resurrected film noir and brought it to new heights with their dark themes and their stories. It's totally diversified too. Film noir and science fiction, they're inseparable in this film, and they're seamlessly blended. I think Scott did a great job. Like some of the other people in the beginning of classical film noir, I'm not sure he really knew that when he was making it. But he certainly does now, and he certainly knows the place in film history that this film has taken. I hope you enjoyed Blade Runner. I hope you'll watch it again. I hope you'll watch the sequel, because that's a pretty fun and pretty recent film as well. I hope to talk to you all again soon.
Every civilization was built off the back of a disposable workforce. But I can only make so many. Happy birthday.
There is an order to things. That's what we do here. We keep order. The world is built on a wall that separates kind. Tell either side there's no wall, you bought a war.
You're a cop. I had your job once. I was good at it. I know.
What do you want?
I want to ask you some questions. The key to the future is finally unearthed. Bring it to me.
They know you're here.
I always told you, you're special. Your story isn't over yet. There's still a page left.